Good evening, everyone. It's 6 p.m. or 1800 hours to date, the time of today's posted meeting, which is April 21st, 2026 of the Cleveland County Board of Commissioners. This time I'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, we have a quorum.
Yes, sir, we have a quorum.
All right, first item on the agenda is the pledge, or the first item tonight is the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by an invocation. I'd like to recognize the Veterans Advisory Council, who's going to lead us for both.
Please join me. We pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for our health, our well-being. Thank you, Lord, for the place of peace, of freedom that we enjoy. We pray for the health of those that are dear to us and those that have been lost to loved ones nearer to us. We ask for the great protection of those that are standing guard and those who have made the call for first responders and our military. We ask for your directions today in today's business, for the county, for being considered well-being of our citizens. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Sir, yes.
Commissioners, citizens, or city staff, and or county staff and citizens of Cleveland County, thank you for allowing us the time to speak tonight. My purpose is to address the Memorial Day ceremony that's upcoming on May 25th. The event takes place at the Cleveland Memorial Park, located at 1225 College Avenue in Shelby, and begins promptly at 10 a.m. This is the one day a year that we take a moment and remember our service members who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for their country, some on the battlefield, some after they came home. We must never forget what we owe them. I have a copy of the program with me, but I'm not going to try to run through that one when it's still a draft a month out, but it's pretty standard ceremony. And I hate to use the term ceremony because it's a very solemn event in this case. We're remembering people who are no longer with us. Your Veterans Advisory Council considers it an honor and a privilege to coordinate and execute this event on behalf of the County Commission, the citizens of Cleveland County, and most especially the veterans of Cleveland County. Subject to your questions, that concludes my remarks, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. You said May 25th at 10 a.m.?
10.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your service. Next, recognize any elected officials who may be present.
Bessie Harnage, registered deeds.
John Morrisville, Councilman.
And next, we'll recognize the veterans that we have are present. Commissioner Hutchins.
Well, start in the back with your name, branch of service.
Trey Winston, Sergeant, United States Marine Corps.
Emmanuel Hunt Jr., U.S. Army.
Rhodes, Army National Guard. Jason Pauls, United States Air Force.
Marty Pendergraft, First Sergeant, United States Army.
Joe Pine, Lieutenant Commander, United States Navy.
Earl Turner, United States Army.
David Cotton, United States Navy.
Johnny Hutchins, U.S. Army. We've got some veterans pins. What it is the county, the pins with veterans rock under it. If you don't have one, if you raise your hand, she'll bring you one.
Phil.
here.
Over there, Phyllis.
Appreciate all evidence and all of the service.
Next, we'll recognize any law enforcement that's present.
Manny Howe, Cleveland County Sheriff's Office.
And then last, we'll recognize any county department heads.
Jason Pauls, Public Relations.
Timmy Hanson, Health and Human Services.
Jessica Rodriguez, Human Resources.
All right, Commissioners, first item on the agenda tonight is a motion to adopt the proposed agenda. The agenda's in front of you guys. We've been presenting this and it's been published as well. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion, we accepted it.
Second.
A motion to second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor will say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Next item is public comment. Madam Clerk?
The public comment portion of the Board of Commissioners meeting is an opportunity for persons wishing to appear before the board to do so. Citizen speakers will be acknowledged in the order in which they signed up to speak and will address all comments to the board as a whole and not one individual commissioner. Speakers will address the board from the speaker's podium at the front of the room and will begin their remarks by saying their name and address. Discussions between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. Speakers are expected to be civil in their language and presentation and are prohibited from using profanity or making marks of threat or violence and directly related to the subject that the commissioners have oversight and authority. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to address the board. A speaker is not permitted to share, reserve, or relinquish any remaining time allocated to them to another speaker. Any comments where the primary purpose is to promote a business or candidacy shall not be allowed.
First, we have Mr. Trey Wisnett.
Trey Wisnett, 2951 West Stagecoach Trail, Shelby. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Philip Steffen today. During the time I have come to know Philip, I have found him to be a strong conservative Christian who is a devoted husband and father. His decision to relocate must not have been an easy one, as he relocated himself and his family across the country to work for our county, Cleveland County. We were blessed to have him work for us, as he is passionate and diligent about his profession. In fact, before moving to our county, he worked for 17 years in finance for the city of Anacortes in Washington State. His record was exemplary with no problems. On January 3rd, 2024, Cleveland County even put out a press statement saying just this, after noting he was hired after a national recruitment effort in which it was stated by our county representatives, Philip is an exceptionally well-rounded subject matter expert who has demonstrated a track record of successfully implementing complex financial and budgeting plans. However, Philip's character was slandered when the Shelby Independent wrote an article on April 1st citing from County Manager David Cotton that Philip was terminated from his position due to unsatisfactory job performance and unacceptable personal conduct. In the same article, David Cotton stated in the article, these issues resulted in heightened public attention as well as unnecessary delays. I believe all of this can be attributed to Philip questioning financial decisions honestly. Philip was being a strong conservative man when he is emboldened to speak the truth in his disagreements with a member on this board. His job was to audit or approve transactions or purchases as they were made for the benefit of our county. When a problem came up because purchases were being made without his approval or oversight, a red flag should have gone up with his manager. Philip knew things were not being handled as they should have been. Because of his honesty, somebody else should have not been allowed to do as they wanted to with no recourse. Instead, Philip was made as a scapegoat of the bigger problem within our county. A great wrong was done to a good man, and all of you here today need to pause and please reflect on why this was allowed to happen. All of you here are accountable for this wrongful termination. Finance problems with our Board of Commissioners already existed before Philip was hired. His predecessor, Brian Eppley, resigned for similar problems that were noted as he was bullied and strong-armed into being asked to do things that weren't honest and true for Cleveland County and our money. And Brian has gone on to do great things in Burke County with no problem since leaving ours. Someone should be accountable for what happened with Philip. Someone needs to take a hard look in the mirror and ask if they're serving their county as they promised to do when they took their oath of office. We all want what is best for Cleveland County. Disrespecting, terminating, and slandering a good man who believed in our county and was honest in his principle in serving us does not make our county better. Thank you for your time.
Next, we have Mel Lockhart.
My name is Mel Lockhart. My address is 1687 East Way Drive here in Shelby. And thank you for the opportunity. First, I'd like to say I'm here to appeal on behalf of Philip Steffen as well. But I'm not coming with an assumption of guilt on anyone's part. My desire is not to, we live in a society right now where if you're not on my side, you're my enemy, right? And I just know everything about you. And that's just not the case. Jesus said, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy." And so I'm asking for that in this situation. I'm extending that to you all in the assumption that there's two sides to every story. There's reasons that things get done, but we are human and we can make mistakes, and we can even go back and say maybe we can reconsider things. And so I would say that we don't have huge numbers here tonight speaking on behalf of Philip. I have a number of people who expressed that they wish they could be here. I know Alan Langley told me he would be glad to be here. He's a dialysis, a gentleman named Drew Givens. I know Bill and Angie Smith wrote you guys a letter already about Philip. But I would like to say this. I think that if anyone who would ever have the opportunity to know Philip and know his family, know him personally, would be shocked to hear that he was fired, right? Like fired it's not sports where you get fired because you don't win the big game. It's a serious thing to be fired, and to have the charge laid at your feet that you did not fulfill your duties and that you had conduct that was unbecoming and not professional. Those are things that certainly, truly, it cannot be the case for Philip, as I know him. And I think that anybody else who knows Philip in a personal way would say there's no way that he is a county employee who ought to be fired. He's meticulous with his own personal finances, and I believe he was with the counties. And so just want to express on behalf of everyone I know who knows Philip, who is very disappointed that he was let go, and also the imaginary person, the imaginary citizen that I believe, if knew Philip, would also be disappointed. And I just want to ask for you guys to consider extending mercy in this case and potentially reinstating Philip. So thank you for letting me speak. Appreciate it.
Next, we have Denise Steffen.
My name is Denise Steffen. Address is 705 Wilson Cornwall Road, Shelby. I'm the wife of former finance director of Cleveland County, Philip Steffen, who was fired 3 weeks ago due to what the public was made to believe was a late audit. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I want to say how humbled I am to have everyone who is here on behalf of my husband. I know there would be many more people here, people who work for Cleveland County, if they didn't feel like their jobs would be in jeopardy for showing their support today. Philip and I want to tell everyone who has reached out to him how much we appreciate it. Philip is a man of character, honesty, and most importantly, integrity. Must have qualities of a finance director. He is also a master of finance. Prior to serving as finance director here in Cleveland County for the last 2+ years, Philip worked for the city of Anacortes, Washington for 17 years. He worked his way up to management and is still beloved by his former employees and employer. He was part of the WFOA and leadership of the WPTA, hosting their yearly conference twice as president. This man knows government finance. On top of that, he is also a brilliant manager, which is expressed in how devastated his team is to lose him. This cup I'm holding says this is what an awesome director of finance looks like. This was a gift from a Cleveland County employee, given after his firing, though bought prior to it. Philip is also a very humble man, willing to take responsibility, correction, and proactive action when he makes a mistake. Even though the audit was hired out to an auditing firm and the finance team didn't have full responsibility or control as to when the audit would be done, Philip took responsibility. He was also very communicative the moment he knew it would be late. In his almost 20-year career in government finance, he had never received any sort of formal or informal discipline. Being fired came as a complete shock, especially coming less than 6 months after being recognized by the county for receiving an award for last year's financial statements, an award he and his team would have received this year too, because what happens when a county is late with their audit? Nothing. The county received no fines, no penalties. Sure, there could be if you never turn in your audit, but the audit was already turned in by the time Philip was fired. Last week, Philip reached out to another government finance director who told him he was currently working on the audit for 2024. Hasn't even started on 2025. Can you guess his consequences? Nothing. No fines, no penalties, no one is calling for his job. It's only a big deal here because it was made a big deal. I'm not saying it's great. I'm saying it doesn't justify the firing of such a distinguished man. In fact, Philip was in the process of creating a spreadsheet, because anyone who knows Philip knows he loves a good spreadsheet, to be able to put the financial statements together himself next year and save the county money on an auditing firm. That was the brilliant finance director he was, always trying to find ways to serve the county and be more efficient. Our family moved across the country for this position. We knew no one when we got here 2 years ago, but a remarkable community has been built in such a short amount of time because Philip Steffen is a powerhouse. I expect nothing to come of this. My hope is only in Jesus and the cross that saves. I do believe the right thing is for Philip to be reinstated both for his own sake and for the sake of Cleveland County. Thank you.
And next we have Mark Blackwell.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Blackwell. You may not want to hear from me because I'm about 2 miles over the border in South Carolina, but the organization I'm president of did just buy 10 acres in Cleveland County last month. So we're heavily invested in the community. I know Philip from Elizabeth Baptist, where we've been members for a number of years. But basically, I'm not going to go long. Similar theme of tonight. I know Philip very well. Actually, when I did get a chance to work with him in a professional manner in the finance team, I will say I was delighted with the ease of access. Working with other counties across the state with my organization, it can be oftentimes pulling out hair, dealing with finances and reporting, and it was a breath of fresh air. Secondly, I love Cleveland County. I've have family connections to Cleveland County dating back towards the Civil War and part of our history, even though we are South Carolinians, don't hold it against us. But Cleveland County is special. It is unique. I spent the majority of my young life in Mecklenburg County, and I have shared the podium in those commission meetings and council meetings a number of times. And I guess, if anything, I would just share, no accusatory, but a point of caution. I saw the decline of Mecklenburg County, and I saw where, over time, political action took the place and the voice of the people became less and less significant. I don't think that's the case here in Cleveland County, but I think we all have to be careful. Because in many ways, I've said Cleveland County was behind 20 years in all the best ways, not in an insult way, but in a conservative way, in a tradition way, in an American values way. And I think we just have to approach with all caution, regardless of subject, that we are holding true to this democratic republic that we are, and we're treating those that are employed by tax dollars the correct way. Held to great accountability because they are funded by tax dollars, no doubt. But I think we have to be very careful with how we treat people. But my experience with Philip was excellent, working with him in a professional sense, as a friend. And I was always impressed that every time I turned around, hearing from other church members, he seemed to always be volunteering on someone else's farm or property, helping them. He's that kind of guy, has a servant's heart. So just wanted to put in a positive word for him. And I agree. I think if there's any room for him to be reinstated, that's what I would strongly encourage. Mistakes happen for all of us. We all make mistakes every day. But, praise God, there's second chances and there's opportunity to course correct. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. So the board members, we have been presented the consent agenda. Are there any discussion? If not, I entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, we have a series of public hearings tonight. We'll begin with the Madam Clerk.
After the public hearing has been opened, citizen speakers will be acknowledged in the order in which they signed up to speak and will address all comments to the board as a whole and not one individual commissioner. Speakers will address the board from the speaker's podium at the front of the room and will begin their remarks by saying their name and address. Discussions between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. A public hearing is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. Speakers are expected to be civil in their language and presentation. All comments from the speaker shall be directly related to the subject of the public hearing. Each speaker is allotted 5 minutes to address the board. A speaker is not permitted to share, reserve, or relinquish any remaining time allocated to them to another speaker.
All right, the first public hearing tonight is planning case 26-03. This is a request to rezone parcel 2354 at 2010 Maple Springs Church Road from residential manufactured homes and parks to rural residential. Mr. Martin?
Thank you, Chairman Ward. Good evening, Commissioners. I have 5 requests for you tonight, for all 5 being rezoning requests. The first is a parcel, a single parcel along Maple Springs Church Road. It's parcel 2354. The applicant is Stephen Humphreys. He's the property owner. And the size of the parcel is about 4 acres, and he's asking to change the zoning district from residential manufactured homes and parks, the RM district, to the RU district, the rural residential. The difference between these two districts are that the RM district allows single-family residences and manufactured home parks with half-acre minimum lot size requirement. The requested rural residential district allows the single-family residences but not manufactured home parks. It also allows some other non-residential uses such as RV parks, home businesses, and then both allow agriculture. Another difference is lot size. The rural district allows or requires a minimum of 1 acre. And so this particular request is for the property on Maple Springs Church Road. It's on the west side of Maple Springs Church Road near Highway 150, just south of Bowling Springs. And you can see the area. I've got an aerial on this slide showing the area. And there's currently a mobile home park on the parcel containing 8 mobile home sites. It's surrounded by other residential tracts, mostly larger parcels with single-family residences. We also have a Google Street View illustrating, what I was just describing with the mobile home park on the left, and then you can see on the other side of the road a single-family residence on a larger parcel of land. So the zoning districts in the surrounding area, there's 3. The white area represents residential. The orange area represents the RM home park, manufactured home park district. And then the red rides along Highway 150, just west of the property. And the parcel that's outlined in black is the parcel that's being requested to change to rural residential. Our land use plan, serves as our guide. We always want to acknowledge what it says and how we envision the area to develop over time, usually 10 to 15 year period of time. But for this area, the green represents a rural preservation vision. And if we look at it from a broader scale, that dark green area, you can see this parcel is highlighted by the red star, and it sits within that dark green area, which is all the southwest part of the county. Our planning board has reviewed the case. They recommend approval. They noted that the rural character of the area and being in that rural preservation district would be consistent with the requested district. And so tonight you'll hold a hearing and then discussion, and then you can approve or deny the request.
All right, thank you, Chris. Any board members have any questions of Chris at this time? All right, if not, I'll declare the public hearing now open, and we have Mr. Scruggs who would like to speak. Mr. Scruggs? You don't have anything to say? Okay. So anyone else? Well, come forward, sir.
I'm Burl Turner. I live at 154 Hatcher Road. I'm here not to blame anyone, but try to get some help. Hatcher Road is notoriously bad. Trash, junkyards, cars all piled up, grass not being cut. I live at the end of Hatcher Road. I have to pass that every day coming and going. And I've tried to be in touch with people, and I have talked with Nick Powell and Hayden Weinstein. I've not got an answer back from either one of them. We've made complaints. I've talked to them. I've been by to see them. I've called. They don't return my calls. I understand that people have jobs and they're busy. I do understand that. And I'm not trying to put a blame on it. But all I'm trying to do is get some junk and piled up trash just taken away. Just clean the yard up. I don't think that's asking too much of anyone. And we did fill out a form on 109 Hatchery Road, Arnold Lambert. 5 people signed it saying it's abandoned property. No one, this has gone on for weeks and weeks. I told her, I said, I'd like to get an answer on this because I do live down the road, but nothing's happened. I go by there, grass is cut, trash piled up, cars in the junkyard. There's 2 other properties down the road that they've gone down to take a look at, but nothing's ever been done. I know there's like a 30-day warranty that they have to clean up their place. It's been more than 30 days. And like I say, I'm not complaining, but I am. I would just like,
Burl, can I get someone to follow up with you?
Yes.
I was asking the question about this, the comments was on the public hearing about the zoning, and it sounds like you have a bigger problem, so
yes, I do, really and honestly. And I'm not putting the people down. I don't mean to be a bad neighbor or anything like that. But when I first moved there 43 years ago, the people that own these properties kept them up. They've all died off, passed away. They've been passed down. People just don't care and don't care and don't care. And it's just gotten worse, worse, worse over the years. And I have been for 2 or 3 years or more trying to get some help on this. I know you guys had a new ordinance that you passed, and you put more teeth in what you could do. But so far, I'm just not getting.
could you make sure you give your number to Danny, and we'll get the appropriate person to follow up with you tomorrow.
Okay, I sure will. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so Mr. Scruggs, you do not want to speak, is that correct? Okay, so at this time, the public hearing is now closed. So Chris, do you have anything else to add? All right, it's back to the board to deliberate on this case. So it is consistent with the land use plan?
Yes.
All right, so the question to the board, if there's no discussion, to approve or deny the application.
You didn't have anybody complain at the planning zone?
No, we didn't have any, no opposition, and in fact, no one was there to speak on this property.
I'd make the motion with approve.
Second. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Chris, we're gonna work you hard tonight. Several here on there. So, all right, so the next case is case 26-01. This is a request to rezone parcel 57853 at 1244 and 1256 Cleveland Avenue from residential to rural residential.
Yeah, we had a slow start to 2026, but we're coming on strong now. I've got 4 more next month, so it's getting warmed up. So the next request is for parcel 57853, and the property, or the applicant, is Eric and Amelia McCartney. The owner is M.E. Brown Enterprise. It's located at 1244 and 1256 Cleveland Avenue, and it's 50 acres, so it's a rather large, relatively large tract of land. And the request is to change the zoning from the regular residential to rural residential. The difference between those two districts are similar to the last case. The regular residential allows single-family residences, manufactured homes on half-acre lot sizes. The non-residential uses are pretty limited, mainly churches and school and home occupations within the home. The requested district also allows residential uses on larger lots, 1 acre, but then it also allows some non-residential uses such as veterinary offices, landscaping, retail stores, home businesses, RV parks, and then agriculture can be performed in both districts. Property's 50 acres. It lies along Highway 226, what's known as Cleveland Avenue between Patterson Springs and Grover. That's Buffalo Creek, just north of the property. So this parcel sits adjacent to the creek. You can see that there's some other large parcels of land surrounding this one. And then you also see some smaller typical residential lots across Highway 226, across the road, that contain single-family residences. This is a Google Street View from earlier this year. It's a good reminder of the nice weather we're having now compared to earlier this year. but you can see both sides of the road. One side is the parcel, the subject parcel, and it's a vacant tract. The other side contains a residence. The zoning districts for this area is mostly residential. That's the underlying district. What you'll find, though, along Highway 226 is what we call the highway corridor, and that's a overlay zoning district within 500 feet of both sides of Highway 226 that allows for some commercial uses. So this parcel, it enjoys both the uses of the underlying residential district, but being on the highway, the first 500 feet of the parcel non-residential commercial uses can occupy that area of the parcel. And that would remain unchanged when you're considering a change in the underlying district. So that would remain. For the land use plan, the vision for this area is secondary growth. It's a step up over the rural preservation, but it's still considered primarily a rural style residential. Subdivisions could be expected in this area, and then some commercial uses could be expected near intersections and along the highways. Our land use map, we're from a broader perspective. The red star shows you the placement of this parcel between the towns of Patterson Springs and Grover, and it's surrounded by a larger secondary growth area between Kings Mountain and Bowling Springs on the southern part of the county. Planning board recommended approval. The petitioner was at the planning board meeting. They determined that it was consistent with the land use designation and just seemed compatible with the surrounding properties. And this one would follow the same course of action, requires public hearing, and then any discussion or questions, and you may approve or deny.
You said this zoning is the same as the one we just approved?
Yes.
That it follows the same scale, the same method, whatever, right? Correct?
That's correct. Yes, both this case and the last case are requesting the same zoning district.
Yeah.
But they're not the same. I mean, you're just saying they're both want to be rural residential.
Right,
Yeah.
they both want to be the rural residential.
So that makes it the same. The other one was, and this and the other two, so that makes them the same. You said they're not the same, but
One of them's going from residential to rural residential. The other was residential, manufactured residential.
Yeah.
It's two different.
but still, again, it's specific to the same scale and the same request.
Yeah, both cases involved a residential style zoning district
Yeah.
and a requested rural style zoning district.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions?
We can ask them something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather hear everybody first.
Okay. Tony, do you have anything now?
Just a little confusion there for me, these being in two parts of the county. I understand they're requesting the same thing, but in making that decision, have we looked at the surroundings properly for both of those? Because just because they're requesting the same change doesn't mean that it would be appropriate.
Yeah, the planning board looked at both cases. And I think, with with the last case, the vision was rural preservation, the darker green. And when you read the description of it in the land use plan, it talks about finding uses and looking for policies, which zoning districts are policy, that supports agricultural uses and rural character. Our secondary growth, which is the designation of this particular property, also contains a lot of the same language that describes, it gives us a vision of finding ways to allow development in these secondary growth areas while also looking for tools to maintain rural character. When our land use plan was adopted in 2021, we held a lot of public input meetings across the county, And that seemed to be a common theme we were hearing from a lot of the citizens that lived in these areas throughout the county.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna go ahead and ask this too. Where you said we have a petitioner and a landowner, whatever happens would follow the land, not the petitioner, correct?
That's
Not
correct.
that really matters if somebody wants it there, but how does one go about rezoning somebody else's property? Is there any agreements, or is it just, I can go rezone somebody's property?
That's,
I mean, I'm not saying they did anything, I'm just asking what the law, how the law is.
yes, someone can request to rezone anyone's property as long as it's not a down zone. And general statute define what down zoning is. This particular case, I would consider it a down zone, so the applicant needed to have the landowner's signature, which they obtained on the application. So anytime you request to down zone someone's property, you must get consent from that property owner.
But there's no consent that it's automatically gonna happen, I guess, is what I'm saying. It's just, I just said it's okay for you to rezone my property.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh.
it's written consent is what's
That you
described in
can
general
rezone.
statute.
Okay,
So we
I
got to see it in writing.
Okay.
And you're correct that if a decision is made that would change the zoning district, that does stay with the land. So if property owners change in the future, the zoning
Like if
district would remain with the
Whoever
land.
buys it this time changes it, it stays whatever.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yep.
got you.
Anybody else at this point? All right, seeing none, at this time, the public hearing is now open. So I will invite Amelia McCartney.
How's everyone doing?
Good,
I'm
how
a
are
little
you?
hoarse, so allergies is getting me. So we want to have this rezoned to RU, so we're able to do what falls under RU. We're currently looking at opening a winery called Buffalo Winery, because the creek's right there, which will take a lot of time and dedication, which we're willing to put that in. Where he showed the red in the business corridor, what we would want to do is leave that so it wouldn't look like you have to go down in there in order to see the winery. It wouldn't be you're just riding by and you're seeing the winery. It would be hidden. So we would leave that barrier up in the front. Because if we put it up in the front where the red is, then if you've got kids and kids run out in the road, then that's not a safe thing to do. So, and we're just wanting to make it a family-oriented area where, I mean, there's nothing to do between Grover and Patterson Springs. There's just nothing to do around there. I grew up in Grover, and it's absolutely nothing to do there. And we do have a contract on the property to buy it. So, do I have any questions?
Is that all you're having is a winery, or are you gonna have open hours, or do you know yet what you're?
It won't be a 24-hour thing. It's not gonna turn into a bar. It's gonna be family oriented. We're gonna look into the future. I still have to go under and see what else under RU. And I think there's a putt-putt course that you can put there and do some family oriented things on the property. But back in the flood zone, we won't be able to do anything back there. But we just want to make it safe. It's the reason why I want to keep that barrier up front and have them come in. I think the driveway is straight across from Silverado. If I need to move that, I can get in touch with DOT, but I think it would be better to be straight across from that driveway. But that would be up to DOT where we put it at.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
you.
All right, at this time, the public hearing is now closed, so it's back to the board to deliver.
I mean,
Go.
somebody wants to speak.
Ma'am.
Good evening. Lisa James, 106 Silverado Drive, Grover, North Carolina. I live directly across the road. One Silverado's directly across from that. I am not in favor of it. Yes, I signed a petition that they came around. A winery is okay. But residential, rural residential allows RV parks. And just a year and a half, I think, or 2 years ago, the Browns that own it now were here trying to get that. So if they get it, contingent, contract, whatever, falls through, he gets what he wants. It follows the land. And 50 acres, an RV park, we're in the country. Have horses, a barn, the neighbors, and 226 is ridiculous now as it is. Tractors and trailers, and, the traffic is horrible. And I guess that's about it. But I don't think, we have other neighbors here that, and I apologize, I'm not a speaker. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. All right, questions for the board? Do you have any questions? Board, does you have any questions for Chris?
I do. When we were here a year and a half ago, what was the zoning choices?
General business was what was requested.
I was just curious because I don't think we had this other choice at the
Yeah,
time.
it predated the rural residential.
Okay.
Anything else?
Okay.
All right, what's the desire of the board?
I'll make a motion, we approve it, because it's similar to the last one.
We have discussion.
Let's see if it gets a second first. Is there a second?
Don't have a second, but I think that we're zoning a person rather than a property. Just like you talked about the last time that the zoning come up. So, like I say, he's got a contract to sell it, so it appears that, the other commissioners are zoning him, not the property.
So is there a motion to deny?
I'll make a motion, we deny, and I would, can I follow that up with something before you?
Let's see if
want
there's
to?
a second for
Okay.
that.
Sorry.
I'll second.
Now there's a discussion.
Thank you. And I just feel like we denied it for one person, and for us to go around and approve it for another, we're not doing justice to the first person. If we didn't think we should do something there as a business to start with, why would we now think we should? I don't think it has to do with the person. I think it has to do
I
with the
think
thing.
it's all to do with the person. Even the last time it come up, it was against the person because everybody that voted against Mike Brown, they didn't vote against the property because the property up and down through there has got a lot of uses similar to what they got if you come all the way up from Powder Springs to Grover and look at what they got up through there. So
Well, I personally don't think I voted because of the person. I think I voted because of where it was at and that I.
that's your opinion, and I got.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just
Yeah.
saying my opinion is not agreeable with what you said. So,
Is there any other questions or discussion?
I typically think the consistency is fair.
yes, me too.
There's no other questions or discussion. I'm gonna call the vote. So all those in favor will say aye. Anyone opposed? All right, it's 4-1.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a comment before we go on. We denied a petition that gave them the opportunity to do mobile home, not mobile home, but RVs. And every one of them we're doing today is basically consistent of RV. And it wasn't that long ago that this commission right here agreed, and the guy stand right out there and said, look, I want to do this RV park, but I'm gonna have permanent residents. And that's not what's supposed to happen. And we did nothing about it. So like I say, I think if we're gonna do something, if we're gonna do it, let's do it consistent.
All right, next item on the agenda is planning case 26-05, is a request to rezone parcel 2874 at 111 Hurst Farm Road from residential manufactured homes, parks to rural residential. Chris?
The third case involves parcel 2874. The applicant is the property owner, Mrs. Sunny Glenn, and it's located at Hurst Farm Road, which is a private drive off of Flint Hill Church Road in that southwest part of the county. It's about 30 acres, and she's asking to change it from residential manufactured homes and parks to the rural residential district, the same district. We've covered this with the last couple of cases, but the difference are lot size. The RM district requires half acre. The rural district requires 1 acre. And then the rural district allows it's more expanded use of non-residential uses. So RV parks, garages, a bigger scale of home business can be located in the rural style of residential district. The properties, again, it's 30 acres. An aerial photo is displayed on this slide showing an outline of the property, but it also shows the property surrounding it. And you'll see other larger parcels of land, and then you'll see mixed in there some single-family residential uses. And the street view shows the same. The properties on the right, the green sign is the Hurst Farm Road sign. The surrounding zoning districts are residential in the white area, and then the residential manufactured homes and parks in the orange area. And this parcel is highlighted in red within that zoning district. And our land use plan calls this rural preservation for the future. That's the most rural style of designation our land use plan describes. And then this parcel sits where the red star is in that southwest portion of the county, close to the Broad River. And planning board recommended approval. They commented that it fit in well with the land use plan designation, and the requested district was compatible with the surrounding uses. And the same order of events for this case, it'd be a public hearing, and then discussion and any questions, and then you may approve or deny the request.
So I couldn't see that map. This is off of Flint Hill Church Road?
Off Flint Hill Church Road.
Okay.
That's correct.
This zoning amendment here is similar to the other two. We approved one and denied one, but they got the same uses of both of them.
Yeah, it's a replica of the first case.
Yes.
There's a difference in the underlying district for the current district for the second case.
But still got basic the same use.
For the requested district, that's correct.
All right, any other questions? All right, hearing no questions this time, I'll open the public hearing. And nobody signed up to speak, right? So with that, ma'am. Okay, well, come forward. Please.
I'm Sunny Glenn of 111 Hurst Farm Road, Shelby. And I just want to make clear what we want to do. So we originally owned 35 acres at the same property. I've deeded off some to my children. And my house sits right in the middle of this 30 acres. And it's on a 1 acre lot. So I can't build a storage building on my 1 acre lot. So basically the only reason I'm asking to change the zoning is because I want to build a building, like a workshop. So one of the pieces of land I gave to my oldest son has my current workshop on it. And he's currently building a home. So he wants my stuff out of his building. So I'm not wanting to do anything. It was a mobile home park when we bought it. We removed all the trailers off of it, and now it's just a nice, 30-acre lot of land. So I think we've personally upgraded the land, but I'm not wanting to do anything questionable other than build a building that's not on a piece of land that my home is on.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else that may have missed? All right, so the public hearing is now closed. Just back to the board to deliberate.
I'll make a
I got a
motion.
question. This follows the one we just had, regardless of what intent is, if we rezone it, as her kids get it, they can do what they want to with it. It's already rezoned. It doesn't make any difference, even though she just wants a garage. Other things can be put on it if she lets someone else have it or sell it.
With
That's
these five, that's correct for these 5 cases.
Yes.
There's 2 types of request. There's the conditional where you actually show a site plan and show how you want to develop the property. And then there's the traditional request, which is what we have tonight. We have 5 of those tonight.
Yes.
So Chris, I have a question. I want to try to clear this up. So these land use classifications, they have multiple uses, right? Do you have any, is there any one land use category that only has one use?
They don't, the land use designations aren't ordinance. They don't
I
specify.
realize that. My question is, like, rural residential has multiple allowed uses.
The rural residential zoning district, yes.
Zoning
Yes.
district. So other than residential manufactured homes, probably has a pretty limited use.
It is. It's very limited to residential uses and manufactured homes and parks. The rural residential opens you up a little bit. It gives you the ability to have rural uses that one might find
So
compatible.
light industry has multiple uses.
Light industrial has
Heavy
multiple.
industry has,
Right.
general business has multiple uses.
They all do, yes.
Rural agriculture has one.
Yeah, I think your residential and your RM district, which we're seeing tonight, probably had the
Well,
most
restricted
limited.
residential has more than one home type.
Right, they had the most, but they had the most limited uses.
Okay. All right, what other questions are there? So if there's no other questions, what's the desire of the board?
I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, seconds. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
All right, that's 4-1. All right, that was approved. So we're on to the next case. This is case 26-06. It's a request to rezone parcel 73753 at 804 Sam Lattimore Road from residential to neighborhood business. Mr. Martin?
Yep, so the next case is a little different. It's parcel 73753. Applicant is the owner, Mickey Simmons, and property's located at 804 Sam Lattimore Road. It's about 7 acres, and he's asking to change the district from residential to neighborhood business. The difference between those 2 lots are, as the name implies, the residential, like Chairman Gordon stated, is pretty limited to residential uses on half-acre lot sizes. Your neighborhood business district really serves as a mixed-use district. It allows for residential uses and also businesses that you would think of as serving a community. The property is surrounded by other larger tracts of land. You see a maintenance shop for the school, with the school system across the road, and that's Poplar Springs Church Road that the parcel intersects. And then you see the Shelby Airport just south of this parcel. And then you also see some farming activity and then some residential uses. Highway 150 that travels from Shelby to Bowling Springs is south of the property, just south of the airport. Street view of the property. So this section of the property is vacant. There's currently 2 mobile homes on the property that are being occupied. And then the zoning districts of the property are mostly a residential style. The white represents the regular residential and the yellow represents the restricted residential. And you can see this parcel, it lies near that intersection of Sam Lattimore and Poplar Springs. So there's a lot of roads kind of coming into that point. So I think it gains a little bit of traffic there compared to some of the other rural properties. Land use designation, and this one's different as well. Being around the airport, the designation is airport compatibility. So when you read through the description of what that means, what you're going to see is it really just gives us guidance and asks us to be mindful of uses that may not impact the airport, planes taking off, coming in, and vice versa, you know, picking out things that aren't going to be impacted by an airport. The property is the star, the red star, and you can see the airport compatibility represented by the blue color, and then that's the airport just south of this property. And then you also, what you notice is that it really sits adjacent to that Shelby planning jurisdiction. So east of this property, you're starting to get into more neighborhoods and more dense development. Planning board reviewed, recommended approval. They said that the proposed district would complement the airport compatibility designation, neighborhood business. And I think what they mean by that is neighborhood business district doesn't allow anything that's going to affect the airport or be affected by the airport. So no skyscrapers in neighborhood business. They also felt that the uses in neighborhood business would be compatible with that surrounding area. So for this one, you'll hold a public hearing, review the land use plan and have any discussion, and you may approve or deny.
All right, thank you, Chris. Board, is there any questions for Chris at this time?
Was there any opposition?
None for this one.
Any other questions?
This would allow neighborhood business, is what you're saying, correct?
Yep. Yes.
Are there any other businesses other than the airport that are in this area? If it was
The most immediately, I would say you've got the school maintenance shop.
Truck across.
Yeah, across the road. I'll go back to the aerial. And that's this building here. And then you've got the airport. And then Sam Lattimore Road, as it approaches Highway 150, you've got a couple industrial buildings. I'm not positive what they're being used for currently. I think there's a veterinary
Yeah, there is.
Okay,
a vet
I'm
there.
with you now. Yeah, I just missed that. Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions? All right, hearing none at this time, the public hearing is now open, and we have 2 that would like to speak. Ms. Holly Helms?
I'm going to read my statement, if that's okay. Ooh. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Holly Helms, and I live directly across from the property being considered for rezoning. I live at 2157 Weston Road. That is as you come out Weston Road, and it connects to Sam Lattimore. At the very, very end, there's a brick house there. That's my house. First of all, I would like to start by publicly stating that Mr. Simmons, who's here tonight, is making the request to rezone this property and has been a very good, very respected, and long-term neighbor of mine for a very long time. My comments today are not to be hurtful to the Simmons family, but to simply provide my opinion of my home community. Nevertheless, I would like to respectfully express my opposition to changing this land from residential or agricultural use to neighborhood business, and I'd like to make a few points for you to consider. First of all, maintaining the character of this agricultural community. You can see it on the picture. The area has been agricultural for over 100 years. Almost on every corner there's farmland, including my great-grandparents' land, which is still being used for farming. It is the history of this community to be agricultural and residential, and that legacy has defined the character of our community. This consistency is part of what makes this area stable and desirable for families to live and raise their children. Secondly, I fear that having the neighborhood business zoning would create nuisances that do not currently exist. Rezoning this parcel to commercial use would introduce a fundamentally different use to the middle of a pastoral setting. Even under the neighborhood business classification, it opens the door to increased traffic, lighting, noise, and future development that does not align with the existing agricultural character. And thirdly, and this is probably the most important, and we've talked about it tonight, precedent for future development. I'm also concerned about the precedent that once one parcel is rezoned, it becomes much easier for other lots nearby to follow, gradually changing the entire corridor and the character of the community. Additionally, the zoning decisions are long-term, so if you choose to approve this request tonight, the change would stay with the property regardless of ownership, and it's very difficult to reverse that once approved. Additionally, I read the report by Mr. Martin, and he has made his assessment and recommendation that the zoning is compatible with existing characteristics of the area. However, I would disagree with that assessment on the points of it being recognizing the historical character of agricultural nature, the creating nuisances, and setting a precedent for future zoning. Although I will state that I understand with my heart what Mr. Simmons is trying to do for his family, I would just have to also acknowledge that in my head, it doesn't seem like it's the right location. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Simmons.
My name's Mickey Simmons. I live at 2138 Wesson Road, which is pretty much just across the road from Miss Helms. And like she said, her great-grandparents owned and farmed the property across the road. My great-grandparents owned and farmed the property across the road from that. So, yeah, the whole neighborhood is deeply rooted in agricultural history. You got the county maintenance building across the road, which was the old Shanghai School back in the day. Just out Sheriff Allen Road on that adjacent corner, that property there, there's a straw manufacturing. Nelson Dellinger has a farm there that repackages and sells straw. You come out Sam Lattimore, you've got all the Shelby Dine and Finishing that's over there. You've got the veterinary clinic. You go up Poplar Springs, Simmons House Moving has their shop and business up there. Wesson Septic Tank Service, Two Brothers Utility. There's all kinds of little businesses all throughout the neighborhood. I bought that property almost 4 years ago, and when I bought it, there had been many code violations on that property. The gentleman that was, it is a 5 mobile home park, and there were 2 mobile homes on that property that had many code violations. Mr. Martin can attest to that, and it was an awful mess. And when I got the opportunity to buy the property, I cleaned it up, and people tell me right regular, thank you for doing what you did. I have no intent of trashing the place. I've done nothing but make the place look better, and I live there. I have to look at it every day. I mean, that property all but joins my property as well. What I intend to do with the corner lot where one of the older houses was that's burnt down, my intent is to put a modular building there for my daughter-in-law and my niece to run a salon out of. Not necessarily cutting hair, that is an option for them as well, but my niece is licensed to do nails, and my daughter-in-law is an esthetician. So I'm just trying to put something for them on that corner. I can't foresee it bringing any more traffic than is already there, because every bit of the school traffic that does not go by Old Bowling Springs Road, comes right through there, cutting to Riverbend to get on 150. It is a busy road, super busy. And all the tractor trailers that come from 18 South, if they don't cut through Charles Road to get to 74, they cut right through here to come out on 74, going to Ames, Copper, Metals America, Ultra, all that stuff, PPG even, all that stuff up through there. But that's my intent with the property. Nothing more. And it still allows me to keep the other mobile homes on the property. Thank y'all.
They're already there, though.
2 of them are. I have 2
Okay,
empty lots
gotcha. I was
currently.
making
Yes.
sure. Okay.
Yes. Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, with that, the public hearing is now closed. So it's back to the board to deliberate.
Chris? I know we can do hair salons and all, but what kind of businesses are allowed on the neighborhood? business?
Low impact, commercial uses, retail, office. It's, I would say vet offices,
But low impacts, the basics.
when you read the description, there's actually a definition of neighborhood business in the ordinance, and it says uses that would serve a neighborhood. So it's going to be those types of businesses, maybe a convenience shop or a convenience store. So that's the type of uses that you would find in that long list of compatible uses. So no, and just to clarify, so no warehousing, nothing that's going to generate tractor trailer traffic, higher impact uses. It's going to be those low impact neighborhood serving type of businesses.
Any other questions?
Did you say, Chris, that convenience stores would be part of that or would not?
They are. They're one of the uses that's permittable in that district.
Okay. Okay.
Are there other questions? What's the desire of the board?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda is Planning Board Case 26-07. This is a request to rezone adjoining parcels 35827 and 60404. Must be a typo. At 583 Dick Spangler Road from rural agricultural to residential.
So your last case for consideration tonight are the 2 parcels that the chairman stated, 35827 and 60404. The applicant is the property owner, Mr. LaPlante. He's asking to change these 2 parcels from rural ag to residential. They're about 8 acres total, and they're located at 583 Dick Spangler Road. The difference between these 2 districts is that the rural ag, the current zoning district, is your large tract residential district. It's 3-acre minimum lot size. The requested district is your more traditional half-acre residential lot size. This property lies along Dick Spangler Road, close to Highway 18 along the intersection. It's outlined in red on the screen, and this area of the county is between Shelby and Foston. And I consider this a transitional area. When you're looking at the uses along Highway 18, you'll see more activity, more dense development. But then when you look at the parcels in the area west of this property, you really get into the larger tracts and farming properties pretty immediately. This slide will show us a Google Street View showing the property. And our zoning districts, you can see that the The green color surrounding the subject property is zoned rural agriculture. So that also are the properties that have the 3-acre minimum lot size. And then south across the road, you have the regular residential in the white. And then the red shaded area shows you that highway corridor that we talked about at the second case that rides along Highway 18, and it allows for commercial uses and more dense development. And so you can see this parcel, it sits in that transition zone with land uses, but it also sits in a, in the middle of several different zoning districts. Our land use plan calls this area between Shelby and Boston the secondary growth, so it's probably going to, it's going to lean more towards residential development. But when you read the description of secondary growth, it'll talk about commercial uses being strategically located along intersections and highways. And then with our the full map, you can see that secondary growth, the lighter green, follows Highway 18. But then when you travel too far, or much off 18, you really get into the darker green, the more rural areas, according to our land use plan designations. Planning board recommended approval. They just felt like the requested regular residential district was compatible with the uses around it, and especially along 18 with the smaller lot sizes. And tonight you'd hold a public hearing, and then you can have any discussion, and I can be available for any questions, and then you can approve or deny the request.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Anybody have any questions for Chris at this point?
Did you have any neighborhood input?
Yes, ma'am. Just a second, please. Yeah.
None at the planning board meeting.
Any other questions? All right, at this point, the public hearing is now open. Ms. Pearson?
She put her name on the list. I did not put my name on the list, but I feel like after I've heard what I've heard earlier, I need to speak. My name is Renelle Ann LaPlante. I do want to let you know I've tried my entire life to come to Shelby, North Carolina. My family is from here. My Uncle Joe was an attorney in town a long time ago. You might remember him. I have moved across the country. I've lived all over the country, but I've moved across the country to come to Shelby to join my mother, who was elderly at the time. I have invested my life savings into my property and coming here, and I couldn't be happier than I am being in Shelby right now. When I drive down the streets, I see places I went as a little girl. I have 2 parcels, and one is just 3.5 acres. And it sits on that corner where Plainview and Dick Spangler come together. It's 3.25 acres. I am called, emailed, contacted, texted probably 3 or 4 times a week by Charlotte and Raleigh and Greenville property managers and realtors who would like to buy up my property. And I say, how did you get my phone number and my information? Well, we just looked you up. You have property, we want to buy it. Well, I know the crowd is coming to Cleveland County, but I want some say in that as a single female landowner. So I found someone wonderful that I hope will be able to purchase an acre and put a home on there. But we came up against the fact that it's rural agriculture property. So we'd like it rezoned so I can have some control and say over what I can do with my property. And if I want to sell it, and several neighbors are interested too in putting a house on next door to me. I love my neighborhood. It's safe. It's a lovely area. It is busy on Highway 18. I feel like we need some turn lanes on that road, but it's a great place to live. So I'm here to advocate for myself, to say I would like to be able to make the decisions about what happens to my lots. And I'm really only interested in that side next to my house where I could possibly sell 1 or 2 acres to someone who'd like to put in possibly a single wide or double wide home like I live in. And that we would continue to have a safe, wonderful little neighborhood. My neighbors are fantastic. They have inquired, several have pulled in my driveway. I have woods on the other side of me, and I'm not interested in selling my woods. I love my woods. But I would like to be able to have additional control over what I do with my property. So, I hadn't planned to speak, but thank you for allowing me to come up and advocate for myself. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Pearson?
Yes, good afternoon again. I have been approved for a single wide mobile home. And where Renelle lives, my daughter lives in Double Schultz, which is not even, it's probably a mile away. As I get older, I want to be closer to her, and she wants me to be closer to her. And Renelle and I met, and we get along very well. There is mobile homes on the frontage road that's just been put up. Like she said, she has woods, so we're kind of separated from that busy highway. So that's all I had to say. Just hoping you'll approve it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that everyone? All right, seeing that, then the public hearing is now closed. So the item's back to the board to deliberate.
Here's a question. If we rezone that, the rezoning falls the property so she could divide it, was it 5.5 acres?
Half acre would be the minimum lot
She could
size.
divide it up in 5 lots and have 5 houses on it. But is that zoning, would that carry mobile homes, or would it have to be stick-built homes?
It could be both stick-built or manufactured home. One home per lot would be what would be allowed.
Show you where there's mobile homes. I have pictures. There's mobile homes all
I understand that, but that wasn't the question.
Are there any other questions? John, are you done? You got anything
No,
else?
I didn't get any more.
Anybody else got any questions? All right, what's the desire of the board?
I'll make a motion, we approve it, because it looks like all the surrounding areas have similar. Yep, so I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion second to approve. Any further discussion? Hearing on all those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. All right, that's unanimous. All right, before we go into closed session, do any of the commissioners have anything they'd like to report?
I would just like to remind everybody that the Kings Mountain Farmers Market will have their grand opening this Saturday, and Deb will be there with some butterflies, I understand.
Master gardeners will be there.
All right, anyone else? David, you, Phyllis, Jonathan, got anything you'd like to say?
No, sir, Chairman. Thank you.
All right, now let me read this article here. So the board will enter in closed session for North Carolina General Statutes 143, 318, 11A3 to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. The public body may consider and give instructions to the attorney concerning the handling or settlement of a claim, judicial action, mediation, arbitration, or administrative procedure, and there's 2 items tonight, and a closed session for North Carolina General Statutes 143, 318, 11A6 to consider the qualifications, competency, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, or condition of an initial employment of an individual public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against an individual public officer or employee. So do I have a motion to go into closed session for the 2 stated purposes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, the board unanimous is now in closed session. I'll remind the board you're in closed session. We'll reconvene in the conference room. All right, everyone. So the board's back now in open session. So during closed session, the board made two decisions. So on 143, 318, 11A3, the board gave direction to the county attorney to report out on the confidential employee matter. And then on 143, 318, 11A6, the board gave guidance to the county manager or county staff on a personnel related matter as well. So with that, that brings us to the end of the agenda. Before we adjourn, the next meeting, the Cleveland County Board of Commissioners meets on Tuesday, May 5th, 2026 at 6 p.m. here in the Commissioners' Chambers. With that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, see you.